one man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
Is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Mr. Homan, will you take some questions? Gateway Pundit.
I got two questions. I got another media interview. What do you got?
All right.
The microphone, please, sir.
Mr. Homan, hey, Jordan Conradson with the Gateway Pundit. So, the president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?
Wait to see what's coming.
Okay. And, well, real quick, your comments on the Wisconsin governor sending directives to state agencies to not comply with ICE and actually stop your deportation efforts.
Wait to see what's coming.
Any updates on the military?
Remember what I said. You cannot support what we're doing. And you can support sanctuary cities. That's what you want to do. But if you cross that line of impediment or knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien, that is a felony. And we're treated as such.
Well, you heard from Tom Homan right there. That was this afternoon. This afternoon, they caught him in that, what they call it, Pebble Beach. And they asked him a question they may not have liked the answer to. And that answer was, wait till you see what's coming. Ooh, boy, wait till you see what's coming. Gotta love that. All right, just to set the stage, President Trump is due. He's got to be somewhat on time tonight. This is a commencement speech. He'll be talking to the future leaders of America from the University of Alabama. It looks like right now, let's just go to this. I think they're doing Star Spangled Banner. I always love to hear that song. Let's take a listen.
The twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the
You go, girl. You go, girl. Setting the stage for President Trump heading up to Tuscaloosa. I just saw a video where he just got off the plane. He just landed. He's due to speak at 8 p.m. Like I said, it's probably going to be pretty prompt today, so we shouldn't have any delays. No, as long as there's no security issues, we should be okay. I'm going to put up a poll in a second whether or not you think President Trump is going to come out in a mortarboard and a robe. I don't know if they're going to mess with the hair, but I love what. Put it this way. Well, let's see what it comes out to, because that's going to be interesting. So, little bit of news happened today. Oh, just a little bit. And that little bit of news obviously revolved around Mike Waltz. Was he fired? Was he reassigned? It was very interesting. At the end of the show earlier, thank you if you showed up with the other 60,000 people that were here, there was a little bit of a joust that somebody thought they were having with me. And I was like, I'm just reporting to you what is going on. At the time, just as we ended that show, President Trump nor Caroline Leavitt had confirmed anything. And guess what? They still didn't confirm anything. All they confirmed was that Mike Waltz was now going to be taking the ambassador role to the UN. Nobody mentioned the word resign. Nobody mentioned the word fire. Is it a demotion? I don't know. You guys tell me. But in any event, he's going to be at the at the United Nations, and Marco Rubio is going to assume the duties that Mike Waltz was performing at the NSA. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, obviously, President Trump hasn't spoken on it, but the next best thing spoke about it. J.D. Vance tonight at 6:15 or so, sat down with Brett Baer, and he talked about the specifics of what's going on with Mike Waltz. I want to bring that to you right now.
I'm Brett Baer. We're coming to you tonight from South Carolina. Vice President J.D. Vance visited here earlier today, receiving a tour at the Nucor Steel facility, delivering remarks. We'll have an exclusive interview with the Vice President in just a few minutes. But breaking tonight, the first major shakeup in the Trump administration's senior staff. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is out. Waltz is the highest profile casualty, if you will, in the fallout over the private text chain detailing military strikes against Houthi terrorists that included a journalist over an unsecured communication channel. Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey begins our coverage tonight. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Brett. President Trump likes Mike Waltz a lot, but he doesn't like him as the national security advisor anymore. And so, ahead of a critical 3-country trip to the Middle East, President Trump decided it's time for a change.
This is a beautiful day.
A soft landing for Mike Waltz. Out as National Security Advisor, up for Senate confirmation to be U.S. Ambassador to the UN. Despite embarrassing Signalgate headlines, President Trump says, from his time in uniform on the battlefield, in Congress, and as my National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first. I know he will do the same in his new role. For now, the National Security Advisor will be the Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And Pete Hegseth, who posted last night, message to Iran. We see your lethal support to the Houthis. We know exactly what you're doing. You know very well what the U.S. military is capable of, and you were warned you will pay the consequence at the time and place of our choosing is safe as Secretary of Defense.
Tonight, we are pleased to welcome Vice President J.D. Vance, who spoke to workers here at the Nucor Steel plant in South Carolina earlier today. Mr. Vice President, thanks for the time.
Good to see you.
I want to talk to you about all this trip and what the purpose of it and your speech.
Sure.
But I want to start with the breaking news.
Yeah.
Why was Mike Waltz let go?
So he wasn't let go. He is being made ambassador to the United Nations, which, of course, is a Senate-confirmed position. I think you can make a good argument that it's a promotion. But we brought Mike on to do some serious reforms of the National Security Council. He has done that. I like Mike. I think he's a great guy. He's got the trust of both me and the president. But we also thought that he'd make a better UN ambassador as we get beyond this stage of the reforms that we've made to the National Security Council. You saw the president announce that Marco Rubio is going to step in as interim leader of the National Security Council. So I think the media wants to frame this as a firing. Donald Trump has fired a lot of people. He doesn't give them Senate-confirmed appointments afterwards. What he thinks is that Mike Waltz is going to better serve the administration, most importantly, the American people in that role, and I happen to agree with him.
But was it a direct result of the Signal chat? I mean, you were on that chat, and we saw the fallout from it. Is this a result of that?
No, it's not, Brett. I mean, look, what we came into the administration, and of course the president in his first term had some serious issues with the National Security Council. He said, Mike, you need to go in here, fire, frankly, a lot of people who aren't loyal to my agenda, who we think aren't even loyal to the American people, bring in the right collection of people to actually make the National Security Council function. And Mike has done that. And now it's time for Mike to do something else because he's done the job that I think he was asked to do. If the president wanted to fire him over the Signal thing, which, by the way, was a total nothing burger of a story, he would have just done it. But he actually decided it's better for Mike to be in this new role. He's given Mike the new role. That's it.
So what is the message to allies around the world? I mean, is Pete Hegseth safe as Defense Secretary? Are there other changes coming?
Well, again, I think certainly yes, Pete Hegseth is safe, and I think our cabinet secretaries, you saw yesterday the president, they're all doing a great job. On Pete in particular, I think the thing that is most underappreciated about Pete Hegseth and the great job that he's doing is we came in with the military with a serious morale problem. Recruitment and retention goals in most of the major services were way off. Pete has brought a certain esprit de corps. I think the leadership style has inspired a lot of people to join the military. We're now exceeding our recruitment goals. So yes, we've got total faith in Pete, but even the question, Brett, I think betrays a certain misunderstanding of what the goal here is. Mike Waltz is being moved from one administration job into a separate administration job where he has Senate confirmation. That's not, I think, what it's being framed as. That's the president deciding a guy who's a very good guy in Mike Waltz could do a better job at a different role.
And he's going to fight for him in the Senate.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we fight for all of our nominees.
Yeah,
I think we actually got all of our nominees through.
You did. You recorded your skepticism about launching a military operation against the Houthis on that Signal chat. You were kind of overruled, if you will, about those concerns from the Defense Secretary and the National Security Advisor. And that open-ended bombing has entered its 48th day. 48 straight days of U.S. bombing. What does that say? Is the U.S. prepared to strike Iran based on what we're seeing with the Houthis?
Let me say a couple things, Brett. First of all, if you go back to when those messages were leaked, what we were doing is having a private strategic conversation about how to message this to the American people. It's always important to explain what you're actually doing, how to ensure that some of the, frankly, our allied countries that are underspending on their own defense are actually carrying some of the burden. That was a concern that I raised about this particular operation. But I wasn't overruled. What happened is the president.
No,
it's fine. But the president.
They expressed concerns that they won the day as far as the policy.
No, I think the president had made his desires clear, and our job is to implement it. And of course, part of implementing it is you talk about how best to do that, about when to actually launch a strike and so forth. And that's what the Signal chat revealed. And frankly, I thought it reflected well on me. I'm obviously biased about myself, but about Mike Waltz and Pete Hegseth, that we were deliberating how to implement the president's agenda. I think that's what a good national security team should do. But you asked about the Houthi campaign. I mean, I think, we're already seeing signs that the Houthis are saying no mas. They've been bombed. They've recognized that there are serious consequences to firing on American and other ships. And I actually think we're in a good place for the Houthis to stop attacking civilian vessels, to go back to doing whatever it is they were doing before they were attacking civilian vessels. And I think that if that were happening, then this bombing campaign would be over the next day.
You hear the criticism, though, from libertarians, from the left, that this is the new Vietnam. This is 48 days of bombing. People in the middle of the country may not know that we're in the middle of a hot war with Yemen. What do you say to that?
Well, not with Yemen, with a terrorist organization that has been firing on American ships. And I think that people, want to compare this to Vietnam. Come on. I think that the president has made it very clear that one of his core national security priorities is that if you load stuff onto a ship and you send it to the United States, we want to make sure that it shows up without the sailors getting killed, without the ship being destroyed. That is an objective that we're going to pursue forcefully if we have to.
With this Mike Waltz change, and I know you say it's ascension to the UN's ambassador But is this a change in policy? Is this a message in any way, shape, or form that it's a change?
Yeah. And if I can give some background into that question, Brett, I've already seen some folks saying that this is a war between the hawks and the anti-hawks, the
MAGA,
neoconservatives versus MAGA, or the realists. That's not what this is about at all. Mike is a person, one, I think he's a good guy. He has my complete trust, and I know the president really likes Mike Waltz. He just thought that the UN ambassador position would be a better place for Mike Waltz to be. But the entire idea that this is about a national security team, and I know why the media wants to report this story, because it's an exciting story. It's also a fake story.
Let's talk about your tour here. I was on it. It's very impressive, this facility.
It is.
What's the message
I thought you were saying the tour. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah. No, it's very impressive. The facility here is really something.
It is.
What's the message you're sending by the tour?
Well, there are a couple things. First, I didn't fully appreciate how high-tech this steelmaking facility was. There's a lot of criticism that Donald Trump is trying to bring back the jobs of the past. These are the jobs of the future. Making American steel, building bridges and automobiles, homes for American people, and doing it in an incredibly sophisticated way. I just wanted to get a tour of one of the most high-tech steelmaking facilities of the world. I also, of course, wanted to meet the workers, because what President Trump has said, he's been clear about this, not just since his first term, but going back to the 1980s when he was talking about this stuff on Oprah and Phil Donahue. The president thinks that we have to make more of our own stuff.
The economy shrank. First time in 3 years. People are pointing to the tariff policy. There are people looking at their 401ks that are worried. What do you tell them? Is this going to work?
So the first thing is, when you talk about the economy, this is Joe Biden's economy, and we inherited $2 trillion of debt, the highest peacetime deficits in American history, a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, which fundamentally means we're not making enough of our own stuff. And the president came in and he said, this is not always going to be easy. It would have been very easy for Donald Trump to do what administrations past have done, which is borrow a lot of money and continue fueling the national debt. He said, no, we need a reset. We need American workers to have better jobs. We need to protect the jobs that they have right now. And we need to be more self-reliant as an economy, which, by the way, will drive down those skyrocketing levels of debt that we've seen. That is what he promised he was going to do. And he came in, and we've started that process. Now, you're right, Brett. It doesn't happen overnight. This isn't always going to be easy. But if you think about what he's doing, he's saying for 40 years, with the exception of his first term, you had American leadership who were fundamentally offshoring America's wealth and prosperity to foreign companies. He's saying we're going to reshore America's wealth and make this the golden century for our country.
You traveled to India. Is that the first deal that's coming through?
I don't know if it'll be the first deal. I think it'll be among the first deals for sure. Pretty soon. The president, look, we've got negotiations with Japan, with Korea. We've got negotiations going on with some folks in Europe, and obviously we've got a good negotiation going on in India. What the president has said is we just want to rebalance trade. So some of the conversations I've had in India, for example, I think most Americans may not appreciate this. We have great agricultural products. Our farmers are making great things, but the Indian market is effectively closed off to American farmers. So what that means is that makes American farmers and American consumers more reliant on foreign competitors to grow the food that we eat. What our India deal will do fundamentally, I think, is open up India to American technology. It'll open up India to American farmers. It'll create more good American jobs. And it's the kind of trade deal that Donald Trump loves. He's not anti-trade. He's anti-unfair trade. He's anti the kind of trade where foreign competitors take advantage of us. The Indians, let's be honest, they've taken advantage of us for a very long time. Modi, the prime minister, is a tough negotiator, but we're going to rebalance that relationship, and that's why the president's doing what he's doing.
You worried about India and Pakistan?
Well, sure. I'm worried about any time you see a hotspot breaking out, especially between two nuclear powers. We've obviously been in close contact with our friends in India and Pakistan. Our hope here is that India responds to this terrorist attack in a way that doesn't lead to a broader regional conflict. And we hope, frankly, that Pakistan, to the extent that they're responsible, cooperates with India to make sure that the terrorists, sometimes operating in their territory, are hunted down and dealt with. That's how we hope this unfolds. We're obviously in close contact. We'll see what happens.
The president was in the Vatican, had this iconic image talking to Volodymyr Zelensky in those two chairs and huddled down. A much different scene than when he was last in the White House, as you well know. Where do you see that? Is that going to come to fruition?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to give the president some credit here because there was a really big breakthrough and hasn't gotten that much coverage. But for 3 years, these sides have fought, and each of them has said, no peace, we're going to fight until the other guy is basically knocked out. What we've seen now in the last couple of weeks is each side has put down, this is our peace proposal. The Ukrainians did it, the Russians did it. And now I think the question is to see whether we can actually find some middle ground here for these guys to bring this conflict to a close. I really don't believe that any person, of the 8 billion people in the world, I don't think anybody could have gotten this deal done other than Donald J. Trump. When I say this deal, I mean getting these guys to actually propose a peace settlement. But it's going to be up to the Russians and the Ukrainians. Now that each side knows what the other's terms for peace are, it's going to be up to them to come to an agreement and stop this brutal, brutal conflict. It's not going anywhere, Brett. It's not going to end anytime soon. And I think for the Ukrainians, yes, of course, they're angry that they were invaded, but are we going to continue to lose thousands and thousands of soldiers over a few miles of territory this or that way? I hope both of them come to their senses. And if they do, it will be because Donald J. Trump, I think, brokered one of the great peace deals of the 21st century.
I mean, you got the minerals deal. You got that signed. So you're optimistic. Can I say optimistic?
Look, I am optimistic, but it is ultimately, it's hard to say confident because the Russians and the Ukrainians, they're the ones who have to take the final step. We got them talking. We got them offering peace proposals. We got the minerals deal done. I think we're in a place where they've got to say, we're done with the fighting. We're done with losing thousands and thousands of young people. We're done with this. But only Russia and Ukraine can make that decision. That's not something even President Trump can do for him.
Federal judge bans the use of Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal immigrants. What's your reaction to that? There are a lot of lawsuits, a lot of judges weighing in. This one seems like it's pretty significant.
So 3 quick reactions. First of all, the judge doesn't make that determination whether the Alien Enemies Act can be deployed. I think the President of the United States is the one who determines whether this country is being invaded, and under the Biden administration it was. And number 2, of course, district court judges can make their rulings. We're aggressively appealing this stuff. We do think that the higher appeals courts, and in particular the Supreme Court, is going to recognize immigration enforcement is a core function of the President of the United States. If you tell the President he's not allowed to deport illegal criminals, then you're telling the President he's not allowed to be the President. We reject that. We think the Supreme Court's going to reject that. But the final point here, Brett, is we knew this was going to happen. We knew that there are very well-funded, very passionate, far-left interest groups who love, I don't know why they love it, but they love having violent criminals. They love having 20 million illegal aliens in the United States of America. We don't love that. We were elected to change it. We didn't think it was going to be easy. The president in particular, he said they're going to try to stop us at every single step of the way from deporting the millions of illegal immigrants that Joe Biden let in. But he's doing his job. I'm doing my job. And I think that we're going to get there.
Are you running point on the big, beautiful bill? Are you going to be active in trying to get that across the finish line? And where is it?
Well, I talked to John Thune about it last night, actually. And I would say the people running point fundamentally are Mike Johnson and John Thune because they're the great Senate and House leadership that we have that are actually negotiating some of the legislative deal making. Look, Brett, I feel very good about it. I think that we've got every legislative win we've wanted thus far. Yes, of course, I'll be working it aggressively. But when you ask, will I be the point person? I guarantee you, who's going to make a lot of phone calls is Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. I'll make a lot of phone calls. I'm sure Mike Johnson, the Speaker, and John Thune, the Majority Leader, will work it too. We're just going to get this done. If we don't do it, Brett, very simply on the policy, because I know the politics matter, but if we don't do this, millions and millions of Americans are going to see the biggest tax increase they've seen in a generation. We can't let that happen. When we say we want to rebuild American manufacturing, part of that is making it easier for American businesses to invest in our country. The big, beautiful bill is a core part of that.
Cutting spending is a core part.
Sure.
DOJ has done things. I interviewed Elon and all his team. What do you think about that as he's exiting the stage?
Well, first of all, he's not really exiting the stage. I mean, he came in saying, I'm going to work on this for 6 months. And he's not going to disappear, by the way. He's still going to play a regular role. He's just not going to be in Washington every single day because he's got a day job, right? So I think that what they've already done is amazing. And I think that I'm optimistic, I should say. You never know until you know, right? We're not going to know the full scale of Doge savings in 2026 until we get to 2026. But I actually think that what we'll look back and have said is we cut out a ton of waste and fraud in our own government, and we saved the American taxpayers hundreds of billions and maybe more dollars through this effort. One of the biggest improvements in government efficiency we've seen in the history of our republic. I think a very, very good thing for the American people.
All right, so it's up to you how you take it. It's up to you how you absorb everything that J.D. Vance just said. Was it a head fake, big chess move, or was it damage control? That's something each individual is going to have to surmise, come up with inside their own heads as to what exactly happened today. And why it happened. That's the other thing. We need to understand why did it happen. Now, I didn't realize that the UN ambassador has to go through approval process again with the Senate. He has to be approved. So is this a way to get rid of him without getting rid of him? By, maybe he doesn't get approved. Oops, sorry, he didn't make it. I don't know. There's too many variables happening right now. It's very interesting. So let me just show you a couple of things that President Trump, as we're waiting for him to show up, as they read it on, hold on, let me get to this. All right. Here's what he posted. I am pleased to announce that I'll be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations from his time in uniform on the battlefield in Congress as my national security advisor. Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first. I know he will do the same in his new role. In the interim, Marco Rubio will serve as the NSA while continuing his strong leadership at the State Department. Together, we will continue to fight tirelessly to make America and the world safe again. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, so he was very matter of fact with what he had to say. All right, can't really comment. I don't know what's in his head. I don't know what's on the chessboard that they're working. Don't know who they'll bring in. If Marco Rubio is doing it, is General Flynn going to change his mind? Remember, when I had General Flynn on this show, he said, I'd rather do my work on the outside. Don't know. Maybe it's time for him to get back in there. Would he be able to get approved? Don't know. All that being said, that wasn't, in my estimation, that wasn't the most important development today. That wasn't the news bombshell. The media likes it because it's like red meat. Let's go after the Trump administration. But this one is, in my estimation, a much bigger bombshell. All right, so this one came out, let's see what time, at 2:20 p.m. And President Trump said, alert, all purchases of Iranian oil or any petrochemical products must stop now. Any country or person who buys any amount in large uppercase letters of oil or petrochemicals from Iran will be subject to immediate secondary sanctions. They will not be allowed to do business with the United States of America in any way, shape, or form. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right, so if you take that into account, that President Trump, in essence, has told the world, you're either with us or you're against us. If you play with these guys and you do any business in terms of being in the petro area, oil, petrochemicals, if you deal with them, you can't do anything in the United States. They will not be allowed to do business with the United States of America. Let that sink in, which the media didn't talk about. Forget the tariffs. The tariffs are secondary to this. This is absolutely huge. If you're friends with them, if you choose to go ahead and buy oil from them, don't call us and take all your products off the shelf. I want you to just imagine all the different countries in the world that some were worried about tariffs. Now it's not even just a tariff. There's no 10%, there's no 20%. It's point blank. You sell to them, you don't sell to America. Period. You can't even bring your products in. You can't even accept a tariff. You can't even say, well, I'll absorb it and we'll keep our prices or we'll lower our prices. Nope, there is no tariff. The doors are not open. That is monstrous. So I don't know what countries out there buy oil from Iran, but I think one of them might be China. I think he just caused China to see their knuckles, their knees buckle. I got to look it up. I got to do some research before tomorrow's show. Hopefully there's not another 8:30 in the morning show, because President Trump's going from here. He's not going back to Washington. He's going to Mar-a-Lago. So I don't know. And I think Caroline Leavitt is with him, so we'll see. But in any event, tonight, that is huge. And you guys can do your own research. Maybe ask Grok, who buys oil or any petro products from Iran? And that list, whatever that list says, if that is true, they're done selling here if they continue buying from Iran. So Iran's going to have their spigots tightened. That's going to basically destroy their economy very quickly, without a bullet, nothing, just turning off the spigot. And all these countries go, sorry about your luck. Donnie said that we can't do any business. And we got to go with America. Bye-bye. Screwed. Bye. That is huge. All right, so it's 8:02. All the students and parents and faculty are just sitting there waiting for President Trump to waltz in. I would think at this point, my money is on, he will wear the gown. He'll put on the robe and gown. I don't think he's putting on the hat. But we have a packed house of people. Everybody's waiting. Looks like it's hot. I don't know why, but it's indoors. You would think the air conditioning would be working, but people are fanning themselves. It is Alabama. So we shall see how he comes out here. Let's see here. I'm just looking at a couple things just to make sure, we can see what's happening. So I'm interested to see what his remarks will be. I'm also interested, even though this is Tuscaloosa, Alabama, how many nuts are in the crowd? How many times will he be interrupted? How many times will people look? I don't know. We'll see that. Security, I'm sure, was extra tight with all these college kids. But hopefully in Alabama, we're not going to get that kind of college insanity. Some other news that happened today. Yes, there was other news as well. While he is heading down to Alabama, let me bring this to you, because this was big news tonight. Let me go ahead and format this page so it fits in the window before he comes out. All right, so here's something pretty big for you to take a look at. Not that one, this one. Mercedes-Benz to add new vehicle to Alabama plant amid the Trump tariffs. Mercedes-Benz on Thursday, that would be today, said it will add a new vehicle to its plant in Alabama amid President Trump's auto tariffs. The German automaker said it will localize production of the core segment vehicle at its plant in Tuscaloosa by 2027. Mercedes-Benz declined to comment on whether the new vehicle in Alabama was a result of the tariffs. And it's just an article. It just says that they're going to, relocate one of their vehicles to Alabama, which I don't know if it's by accident that that's where he is tonight, but nonetheless, he's at Alabama, and we do have a new vehicle being unveiled in that plant, and it's happening prior to the midterms. Well, it's going to happen right about the midterm. So, in any event, there's going to be more business in Alabama. Let's see what else we got here. Crocs oil. All right, so SV looked up, says Iran's oil exports, China is the primary buyer, purchasing over 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. Ooh. So if China is purchasing, listen to what just happened. SV, thank you very much for that information. If 90% of that of Iran's oil is purchased by China, he effectively just turned off China's business with America without even having to use any tariffs. Let that sink in. If you do business with them, you don't do any business here, period. Not a tariff. A complete exclusion. You don't have to worry. Nothing will be coming in from China immediately. So now, China, the move is yours. What are you going to do? This could get really dicey. Excuse me. Yeah, says SV sent me the information. They import 1.3 to 1.6 million barrels per day from Iran. China does. Also goes to Syria, Bangladesh, Oman, and some other European nations. But China gets 90% of Iran's oil. Just why is the media not talking about that? I don't know if they completely missed it. They just had tunnel vision. Mike Waltz, and just focused here. Maybe that's why President Trump did what he did. Think about that. Those announcements. Let me see if I can time the two announcements. Okay, wait a minute. This would be very interesting to time these two announcements. All right, so the one about Iranian oil was at 2:20 p.m. The one about Mike Waltz was at 2:16 p.m. So within 4 minutes, President Trump dropped two massive bombshells. We're going to put Mike Waltz in the United Nations, and we're going to stop anybody from doing any business with Iran. And everybody focused right here on Mike Waltz. They completely ignored the second bomb, which followed it up right away, and they didn't even talk about it. I didn't see anybody even mention it. Brett Baer didn't even mention it. And it was right there. All right, so while we're still waiting for President Trump to come out, China, MSX China is the owner of the biggest electric company in Portugal. But I need my Chinese crapola from Walmart. Yeah, that's crazy. I live in the Birmingham area. Tuscaloosa is 35-minute drive on I-20. Oh, so we're at 8:08. And everybody in the auditorium or stadium here is just waiting. Can we do something? I'm hungry. I got to get to the graduation party by like 9:30. And where's this dude? Yeah, that's no coincidence. I mean, this guy, we're talking about a very, very methodical marketer, communicator. And at 2:16, he drops the information about Mike Waltz. And then 4 minutes later, he drops the information about Iran, and everybody was all knee-deep into the Mike Waltz stuff, and they completely missed the Iran stuff. Yeah, that's crazy. Wong. Yeah, has Wong been fired? Haven't heard anything about that as of yet. Let's see. No more Chinese crap. What shall we do? It'll hurt. It'll definitely hurt. We'll have some problems with it. Some people, especially in depending on what income group you are, gonna have to change your way of thinking. Especially if China says, "Screw you, we're gonna keep buying oil from Iran." Yeah, then we'll see what happens. Larry says he just played the Trump card. Good point here, Angel Flight. Stock up on meds. Go ahead and get your refills in pretty quick if your stuff has been coming from China. Do you think this is a way for President Trump to slow China down with their AI program? It only slows them down if they don't have the oil to to drive their energy. I mean, they've got nuclear as well, so they can do some different things. All right, so no announcement yet. Hold on, let me see if they're talking about this. Hold on.
Here in this Coliseum, China is now dumping U.S. bonds. They are going in for our prime.
No, that's an ad. It's an ad for their gold, like I run stuff for gold. So, but he's not lying. He's not lying whatsoever. They are indeed dumping gold. What else we got? This will save me money. No more China crap. Yeah, you start buying out of what you actually need versus what you want. It's pretty simple. And in fact, I mean, I look at Robin out there. If she's buying anything from the dollar store, at this point, she's enlarging her garden and the different potting stuff that she uses. Maybe she has a potting knife or a new pot that she... But other than that, everything you already got, you already have. So I don't think she's going to miss it at all. You might have to think of American-made jewelry. Exactly. No more sesame chicken. Oh, you can make General Tso yourself, It's really good. Let's see what else I have. You might have to think of this. No more sesame. Most pharma comes from there. Yeah, exactly. Buy the dip. The dip is going to happen. They don't care about actual relevance. They're only focused on spin. Exactly. Talking about I can't believe Brett Baer didn't bring it up. Didn't bring it up. You had J.D. Vance sitting right in front of you, and you didn't bring it up. So just to let you guys know, if you haven't been here before, what happens is I've got 1, 2, 3 different feeds ready to go, depending on what feed has the best angle, best volume, looks the best. I'll go with that. First feed I'll take is right there. Oh, actually right there. You're pointing like you see it. It's probably going to be from RSBN, and then I'm going to check the White House feed, and then by within 3 or 4 minutes, boom, we'll settle on it, on what feed we're going to use. Now, I do have to ask you guys a question, because I may need to take an intermission if it's something you want me to do. Right about now, Jesse Waters is interviewing Doge. Elon and a couple guys from Doge. So after this is over, after President Trump speaks, I'll put up a poll and let me know if that's something you want to be interested in. Should I go ahead and pull that down and have that ready to go when President Trump is done speaking? Let me know. And if that's something you guys want, I'll oblige. And I got to do some magic stuff back here to have it, but we'll see. All right, so while they're running a gold commercial, let me talk to you. No, you know what? I'm going to talk to you about, because it's more important to me anyways. So I want to talk to you about, you guys know what's coming. You know what's coming. We're going to talk about Patriot Addict. And Patriot Addict, the red knife, is right here. I'm going to play that video the gentleman did. You know what? Let me play that video first so you guys can see it, because he did a great job talking about the Barry knife. All right, so let's listen to this.
Fanfare family, I'm B. Michael Nace, one of the members of Barry Cunningham's channel. One of the things Barry advertises on his channel is the Trump knife. But Barry doesn't really get so much justice, because Barry apparently is not the knife guy that I am. I've got thousands of knives around my house. But this knife is really awesome. One, check this out. This is a power-assisted folding knife with a liner lock. A glass breaker at the tip. The liner lock in the middle. So it won't close on you until you push the liner lock in the middle. Push it and it will fold. This knife is actually quite awesome. And I'm a knife collector. I've been collecting knives for 30 years. This is an amazing knife. And you can get it BarryKnife.com, Barry Cunningham. He can tell you how to get it. I want you to push it to his channel, Fanfare.com. This knife is amazing. It's sharp. It's heavy duty. As a matter of fact, it's almost too heavy to carry in a pocket. You'd have to put it on your belt or whatever, but it's a heavy duty knife, and it's really nice. So Barry, to you, one of your family members, B. Michael Nace from Fanfare, amazing knife.
And just to let you know, that was completely unsolicited. I got that in my email. I was like, oh, dang. I'm going to have to use that. The guys at Patriot are going to love it. And I don't even have to go ahead and display it anymore. I don't even know. He was right. I'm not a knife guy. I prefer pew-pew. But I'm not going to do it, because if I do it and cut myself, or it falls and hits me in the leg or somewhere else down there, I can't be doing all that. But it's very sharp. Like you said, it's heavy. And it's a part of a new thing that they are offering to the Fanfare audience. You see, they've got something called the Trump Bundle, or Collector's Pack, that they've renamed the Berry Pack. The Berry Pack is the ultimate Trump collection, featuring the Trump sequel hat, which is this hat right here. The knife, as you just saw, the Trump watch, which has been selling out nationwide, and then, of course, the Trump blanket. I won't spend too much time, don't want to miss anything in case President Trump comes, but here's the Trump blanket. It is a nice big blanket that I often have to fight Robin for, because she likes it as well. So you get, just to understand, you get the Trump knife, you get this neat hat, you get the Trump watch, and you get the blanket. You get all of that with no shipping, no shipping charges, no hidden fees on the knife, the blanket, nothing. All four of these items would normally cost about $238. But right now, if you just go ahead and buy it for $69, you get all four. All four of them for $69. The Berry Pack. All you've got to do is click the QR code right here, and you can order it real quick, just for $69, and no shipping charges whatsoever. And for $69, the price may not be there for much longer. It already started at $59, and it's at $69 right now. So I strongly recommend you take advantage of this if you'd like all those items. $69. And then starting next week, I'm going to be giving away some of these Berry Packs, just for some of the people who may not be able to afford it, or who just want to enter to win. But as of right now, scan the QR code right over here, or visit berrypack.com to claim yours before they disappear forever. That's berrypack.com, or scan the QR code right now. All right, I'll be right back, and looks like they're getting ready to start.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so it looks like they're beginning. Right now. So the preview speaker is on. Let's listen to him a little bit. All right, let's.
Coach Nick Saban didn't just win championships. He built a culture of excellence that set a standard in college football and taught us all the power of teamwork, self-discipline, and unwavering focus on the process of getting better every day. He challenged our student athletes to be champions, not just on the field, but in the classroom and in life. Please show your appreciation for the legendary former coach of the Crimson Tide and one of the greatest coaches in history, Nick Saban.
right, so that's an AC/DC song, which I know they will ding me for that. All right, so as soon as he begins talking, this is awesome that Nick Saban's up here.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. And first off, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for your extraordinary leadership here at the University of Alabama over the last 10 years. You made the university better. You made me better. You helped us have a successful program because we always had the support that we needed. And leadership is all about serving other people. And Dr. Bell created a great example. He was somebody that we all could emulate. He helped others for their benefit, which is what service is all about. And, you know, his integrity, humility, and unwavering focus to the students here is something that is unprecedented. So I would like to get a round of applause for Dr. Bell for its benefit, which is what service is all about. And, you know, his integrity, humility, and unwavering focus to the students here is something that is unprecedented. So I would like to get a round of applause for Dr. Bell for 10 years of tremendous service to the University of Alabama. You know, it's certainly an honor for me to be here and participate in this historic event, to be able to introduce President Trump, to address the graduates, you know, here today. So it's a special moment for me, but I got to be honest with you. You know, I feel like I'm the warm-up band for the Rolling Stones. And the first song they're going to play is Start Me Up. So, but really, to all the students here, I want to congratulate you on the hard work and commitment that you made to be able to graduate, create a future for yourself. But I want you to remember something. You know, you've created an opportunity to create a legacy now. And if you remember back in 2009 when we won our first national championship here, we had a celebration in the stadium, and I said, this is not the end, this is the beginning. And the reason I made that statement is I wanted our players and the people in the program and our supporters at the university to realize that we wanted to create a legacy of success. Well, that's what you have the opportunity to do now. You know, you're going to face new challenges. This is going to be a new beginning for you. New challenges, new horizons, new opportunities, new obstacles to overcome. And I'm sure the University of Alabama has provided a lot of resources for you to be ready to do that. And our faculty here has helped you prepare for what you need to do to have a successful legacy, you know, in the future. But I always tell people that you need to be very wise about the goals that you set. But more importantly, you got to define, what do I need to do to accomplish those goals? That's called the process. The very things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis to be able to accomplish the goals that you have. You need to define that for yourself. And then you have to have the discipline to execute it every day. And I'm talking about self-discipline, because we make hundreds of decisions every day that come down to two questions. Here's something I know I'm supposed to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? On this hand, there's something you know you're not supposed to do, but you want to do it. Can you keep yourself from it? If you can make those choices and decisions the right way, you'll be able to always make progress toward the goals and aspirations and things that you want to achieve. So making the right choices is very, very important. You know, when you embark on this journey, there's three things that I think always help me. First of all, have compassion for other people. Treat people like you would like to be treated. Treat people nicely on your way up. You might meet them on the way down. So it's nice to be important, but it's also more important to be nice. So that was the first thing, compassion for other people. The second thing is be responsible for your own self-determination. You got to earn it. Don't look at somebody else. Don't blame somebody else. You be responsible for your own self-determination and have accountability for what your job is and what you need to do. And the last thing is, it's not about beating the other guy. It's not about being better than somebody else. It's about you being the best that you can be. You know, we won 26 games when I played Pop Warner football in a row. Then we won 30-some in high school in a row, and it was never good enough. And I could never understand that. But my dad said, it's not about beating the other guy. It's about you being the best that you can be at whatever you choose to do. And I'm going to leave you with this. The first speech that I gave in 17 straight years here was I used to get the players to understand how important it was for them to be their best. As I paraphrased Martin Luther King's old street sweeper sermon. And he started out saying, there's only one guy in the green stamp store at Montgomery, Alabama that I'll let shine my shoes. Because the pride that guy has in shining shoes and the smile he gets on his face when you told him he did a good job. Then he goes on to say, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper in the world. Sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted a Sistine Chapel, like Shakespeare wrote literature. Let him put a sign up that says the best street sweeper in the world lives right here. And if you do that, you accomplish the best there is in life, knowing you did your best to be the best you be, no matter what you choose to do. So, from Terry and myself, Miss Terry and myself, we want to congratulate the 2025 graduating class of the University of Alabama and wish you the very best in the future. And before I introduce President Trump, I have to tell you a story. You know, you all know that we win a national championship, we get to go to the White House, and it's a great experience for our players and each and every year. When we won in 2017, President Trump was there in 2018, very gracious host, and he's the first president that invited us to come in the Oval Office. So I take the three captains in the Oval Office, and the president's really nice to everybody, and he's got this very big, good-looking, auspicious box on his desk that has a red button on top. And one of the players said, is that what you launch the missiles with? And he said, well, push it and find out. Player said, no, I don't want to do that. He said, oh, go ahead, push it, see what happens, find out. So Rashawn Evans finally got the guts up, went over, pushed the red button. Some lady came in with a Coke on a tray. So I really want to express my appreciation to President Trump for choosing the University of Alabama for his commencement address and making time to speak to our graduates. Now it is my distinct honor to introduce our next speaker. Please join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Sweet.
Thank you, Coach. Wow, what a nice-looking group this is. What a beautiful group of people. And especially a very big hello to the University of Alabama. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. There are things that happen in life that are very important, and you always remember where you were when they happened. As a student at Alabama, you'll always remember where you were when your head coach, Nick Saban, retired. Remember that? Because he's done such a fantastic job. The last time I was here, and that's true with Nick, what a great coach. Let's bring him back. No, you have a good coach right now, though. You have a good coach right now. He was great. But the last time I was here, the Crimson Tide beat the Georgia Bulldogs 41 to 34. I was here. I got to watch it. That was some game. Today, it's my pleasure to return to this campus as the first president ever to deliver the keynote commencement address to this truly great American university. It's a great school. And there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Titletown, USA. That's what it's become. And I love this place. Maybe it's because I won Alabama by 45 points. Could that be the reason? 45? You know, the way they say, the polls have closed in Alabama. Trump has won Alabama immediately. It was very quick. It was very, very quick and nasty. That's what we like. They put all 7 of your commencement ceremonies. I don't know if you know this, but they put them all together first time ever, so I better do well, or I'm in big trouble. But I want to thank President Bell for his 10 years of distinguished service, highly respected gentleman, but 10 years of service to this great university, overseeing the education of 100,000 proud Alabama graduates. That's something to have on your record. I also want to thank Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, who's here with us, and she's a fantastic. Where is she? Where is she? She's around here someplace. She's here. I just took a picture. I said, you're doing a great job, along with the very wonderful man, a friend of mine, Senator Tommy Tuberville. Where's Tommy? Tommy's great. When he wanted to run for the Senate, I said, well, you beat Alabama 6 times in a row. How can you run for the Senate? He said, well, I just look at him and I say, well, I was responsible for them getting Nick Saban. I said, that's a good reason. And he won very easily. He won, but I'll never forget that. Thanks also to a wonderful person, Representative Lisa McLean, a great person, great, highly respected. Gary Palmer, Robert Adderholt, Dale Strong, Ronnie Jackson, Ralph Norman, along with Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall, Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen, great people. Alabama Senate President Pro Tem Garland Gudger, Chancellor Sid Trant, and members of the University of Alabama Board of Trustees. But most importantly, and they would agree with this, let's give a big round of applause to your incredible parents, grandparents, and family members. Because they made this wonderful day possible. Oh, you're great. Without them, it doesn't happen. Without them, you probably aren't here, and you wouldn't have that big, beautiful smile on your faces. This year, the graduating Alabama class of 2025 has over 6,600 graduates. You're the largest class in school history. Among your ranks are among the 800 first-generation college students and nearly 3,000 students from right here in the great state of Alabama. Amazing. And this class also includes many Rhodes Scholars, Goldwater Scholars, 213 Merit Scholars, and over 1,500 students graduating with red caps. You know what that signifies? 4.0 GPA. That's a lot of students. That's a lot of students. That's pretty good. I know who I'd pick. I'd look for a red cap. I say, I want you to work for the beautiful Trump administration, this lovely administration. In addition, the class of 2025 has nearly 130 active duty service members, veterans, and members of the University of Alabama, ROTC. Thank you very much. Thank you. Everywhere you look, you can see the fierce spirit of this school, but nowhere more clearly than in your world-class athletics. There's nothing like it. Probably there's no school like it. That's why I would like to recognize the 11 graduating seniors on the University of Alabama football team. Where may they be? Where are they? You just have to look, and they're about a foot taller than everybody else. Oh, great. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Great season. Thank you. Thank you. Great season. There's something truly special about the players, coaches, and the fans who pack the stands at Bryant-Denny Stadium and proudly sing Dixieland Delight. We like that. Alabama has changed college football forever and inscribed into the history books the names of Bear Bryant, Joe Namath, 4 Heisman Trophy winners, and, of course, the great Nick Saban. This place is truly where legends are made. It really is. It's a special place. When your president called, we talked about it. It took me about 2 seconds to say, I'll go. I wasn't looking to do it, and we are busy. You know, we're winning a lot of battles right now. We love winning, don't we love winning? We're winning a lot of battles. But I wanted to do this. For the University of Alabama, good isn't good enough, tough isn't tough enough, and great isn't great enough. The Crimson Tide does not rest, does not quit, and does not stop winning until it's all time. You know, it's all time. You're always winning, and you're going to keep winning. That's why the University of Alabama football team has won more games in the last decade than any college football team in America. That's not bad. And it's why last fall you beat Auburn for the 5th year in a row. That's not bad. That's not bad. The University of Alabama has a brand, and that brand is winning. That brand is winning. Great school. Last year, the Crimson Chaos watched the Tide Hoops make it to the Final Four for the first time ever. And this year, you built on your incredible record and returned to the Elite Eight. So not only is Alabama a great football school, it's now one of the nation's best basketball schools, and congratulations. And I love sports, and I think I should have come here. I think I should have come here. Congratulations as well to the women's track and field team for winning 2 SEC titles this year. That's something. As long as I'm president, we will always protect women's sports. Men will not play in women's sports. No way. They say that's an 80-20 issue. No, it's a 97-3 issue, I think. No, men will not be playing in women's sports. I said that, and I classified it with a very powerful executive order. As you know, it's done. The class of 2025 was the first to enter the halls of this university in the aftermath of COVID-19. Following a difficult senior year of high school, many of you came here to Tuscaloosa from around the country, and for the very first time, you experienced something called freedom. You had freedom. So let's give a big round of applause to the leaders of this state who chose liberty over lockdowns. They did. They did a good job. Did a good job. As you know, there are a few campuses in the world more beautiful than this one, and there are a few memories sweeter than the ones you have formed really at this capstone and at the capstone. You'll miss the beautiful sounds of Denny chimes, the excitement of lining the Walk of Champions, the Saturday tailgates at the Quad. As you graduate, it's natural to reflect on 4 years of happy memories, and you've really had happy memories here. You've done a lot of winning. Winning is a good thing to do. But today I'm also asking you to look forward to really something very, very bright and more promising, and it's going to be an even more promising tomorrow, I promise you that. You're the first graduating class of the golden age of America. We're in the golden age. You watch. This is the golden age. This is the golden age. We've done things that nobody thought possible. 100 days yesterday, 100 days, and we've done things that nobody thought even possible. Like many generations before you, you're graduating at an exciting time for our nation, a period of both extraordinary change and incredible potential and what will be unbelievable growth. You're going to see that very soon. You're going to see it starting very, very soon. The whole world is talking about it. Our country has always been defined by its ability to reform and reinvent itself, to meet the challenges of the next era. The last 4 years were not good for our country, but don't let that scare you. It was an aberration. We're run by people who truly, at that time, 4 years, we were run by people that didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue. I'm trying to be nice when I say it that way. They allowed our beautiful USA to be laughed at, scorned, and taken advantage of by everybody. We were ripped off on trade by nations all over the world, both friend and foe, and oftentimes a friend was far worse on trade than the foe. But those days are over. You're at the start of something very, very big. You're going to see that very soon. Now, exactly 250 years after the first Patriots stood and fought at Lexington and Concord, we're in the midst of another kind of revolution, a revolution of winning and a revolution of common sense. Common sense. Everywhere you look, broken systems, corrupt institutions, and tired dogmas are being swept away by the tide of history. Ancient wisdom is being rediscovered, and the best and strongest traits of America are coming back for all to see, bigger, better, and greater than ever. Coming back, and they're coming back fast. The spirit of our age is one of boldness, vigor, ambition, and adventure, and it's exciting to be you and young. Oh, I'd pay you a lot of money to have your age. You have a great future. The people have rejected the voices of a failed establishment. You saw that in the election. We've turned the page on endless wars, crippling debt, open borders, ruinous inflation, and a lack of respect for our country and for its leaders. But we're turning that all around, and we're turning it around very fast. We will very quickly make America great again. This week, we're celebrating the most successful first 100 days of any presidential administration in the history of our country, and we've been given a lot of credit for that, but 100 days does not a full term make. But we're going to do even better as we move along. In a matter of weeks, we've achieved the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. And you've seen it, hundreds of thousands of people pouring into our country from prisons, from mental institutions, from gangs, and all over the world, not just in South America. You'd see hundreds of thousands of people pour across in one day. You know what we had just recently? Three. And we slashed the number of illegal aliens released into the United States by 99.999%. And you know, if that number is wrong, the fake news, which is all over the place today, is going to be correcting me before I get to the next sentence. Now, 99.999%. How about that? Nobody thought that was possible. They said you needed legislation. No, you just needed a new president. That's what you needed. But despite the tremendous success, as you've been reading, the courts are trying to stop me from doing the job that I was elected to do. We won by millions of votes. We won all 7 swing states, 7 out of 7. We won 312 electoral college votes. They said, 270 would be great. We won 312 and 2,750 counties versus 525 counties throughout the nation. That's why when you look at a map, it's all red. It's all red. Every inch of it is red, a little couple of blue dots. But they have to let us do the job that the voters want us to do. Judges are interfering, supposedly based on due process, but how can you give due process to people who came into our country illegally? They want to give them due process. I don't know. We've created 350,000 new jobs and brought core inflation down to its lowest level in many, many years. Energy is down. Look at your cost of energy, way down. Groceries are down. Even eggs are down. Remember I came in? Remember I was here a week and they started screaming at me, the fake news. Egg prices have doubled. I said, I just got here. I've been here for 4 days. I said, tell me about egg prices. They've doubled. Well, they didn't double under me. I just got there. And we did a great job. We brought down the cost of eggs. In fact, they said you won't have eggs for Easter. They wanted to we have a big Easter egg hunt at the White House. You saw it just take place. And they thought we should order thousands of plastic eggs. Plastic. I said, no, we'll do it. And we straightened out the egg situation very quickly. Our great Secretary of Agriculture did a fantastic job. And we had so many eggs, we didn't know what the hell to do with them. And prices of eggs have gone down 87% since I took office. That's something, right? But the price of food has gone down, and mortgage rates are down, and gasoline prices just hit $1.88 a gallon in 3 states. Can you believe it? It was at $3.50. It was at $4. We're drilling. Oh, we're drilling. You know, drill, baby, drill, right? We drill, baby, drill. We do that. We got it down. We have it going good. And, you know, when energy drops that much, you don't have much inflation. It's hard to have inflation. It was just announced that in the first quarter, investments in the United States are up 22%, that we're leading the whole world in investment. Everybody's pouring into our country with big dollars. And it's all about November 5th, the November 5th election, and tariffs and incentives that we've given that are going to make this country so much richer. We have $36 trillion in debt. That's going to start to come off. It's going to come off rapidly, but we'll be over $8 trillion in investment, with Apple and others investing $500 billion each. We've never had a period of time in 2 months, because we're here for 3 months, a little bit more, but give me a break for the first month. You know, had to get a little acclimated. Had to see where the enemy lies, because they're already looking to impeach Trump. You know, these crazy people. Let's impeach him. For what? We don't know exactly, but we'll try it. These people are crazy. So we had to, get our bearings for the first couple of weeks. So in 2 months, we had over $8 trillion, think of it, committed. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. There's never been anything like it in any country at any time, and it's all because they want to avoid the tariffs. We want to get here fast. And I've said, a number of times, tariff is the most beautiful word in the world. And I got absolutely decimated by the fake news. They said, what about love? What about your wife? What about your parents? What about religion and God? So I said, all right, it's the 5th nicest word I've ever seen. And since I've done that, I've been in good shape. Nobody's bothered me. They've been very nice. So it's the 5th most beautiful word I've ever heard. But it's making us very rich, and you'll be seeing the results pretty soon, sooner than most people think, because that's what other countries have been doing to us, just so you understand. They were tariffing the hell out of us. We couldn't sell cars in Europe. We couldn't sell cars in China. We couldn't sell cars in Japan or anywhere else. We couldn't do anything. And all we're doing is we're doing it to them, but we're doing it much better. And the U.S. military is suddenly seeing its best recruiting numbers ever. We've never had numbers like that. We now have waiting lists because there is such incredible spirit in our country. There's a great spirit. And just think, 6 months ago, and you remember, and it was embarrassing, before the election, 6 months ago, we were hearing and reading that numbers of those joining our military were at the worst levels ever. We've never had anything like it, right? You remember that? And now they're at the best levels ever. We have waiting lists to get into the military. We couldn't fill the positions, and that included in our police forces, our fire departments. We love our fire departments also. We can never forget our fire departments. But our police forces were begging for help. And now they're brimming over with people and applicants, and they're getting great ones. It's amazing what's taken place, and that's really the spirit. Each of the graduates in this arena will soon have the chance to help lead this project of national renewal. And that's what it is. It's a national renewal. We suffered so badly for 4 years. We had one of the greatest economies. We actually had the greatest economy in the history of our country during the first term of Trump. And then we got hit hard with inflation. During the Biden economy, it was horrible. We were hit so hard. The worst probably ever. They say 48 years. We'll accept that. But I would say ever. You'll embrace this moment and you'll step forward with strength and grit, faith and patriotism to put America on a new trajectory for your children. And then you'll take your place among the greatest generations in the history of our country. I think you have a chance to be the greatest generation in the history of our country because we're turning it around and you happen to be available. You're available. That's a good time to be available. There are some times when it's not so good to be available, but this is a great time. I'm absolutely confident that the Alabama class of 2025 is up to the task. Are you up to the task? You learned a lot about winning here at Alabama, and now we need you to help win for America. For the business majors here today, I challenge you not merely to use your talents for financial speculation, but to apply your great skills that you've learned and had to forging the steel and pouring the concrete of new American factories, plants, shipyards, and even cities which are going up all over our country. Don't just build a strong portfolio, build a very, very strong America, and you're going to do that. To the engineers, brilliant you are, technicians, scientists, and math majors, we need your Alabama spirit and competition to keep our country at the forefront of every single domain. America should have the world's tallest buildings, design the fastest airplanes, build the greatest cars, do everything the absolute best, better than any other nation in the world, and you can do it. And we will soon land American astronauts on Mars. That will happen. That will happen. In every field you have studied, there are problems to be solved and breakthroughs to be made. To the journalism majors, of which I've had a lot of problems with. I must be honest. I'm not sure I like them. No, I do. But you're really leading a very thing because we need a great and free press. We need a brilliant press. They're like a watchkeeper. They're very important, and you can go out and take it down a new track, help save the country. So important. Your task is so important, and it's to build a media that Americans can trust. And remember, the people of this country, they know the truth when they hear it. That's why the ratings, the approval numbers of the media are so low. We need those ratings to be 100%. We have to be able to trust our media. I say you have to have that. You need strong borders, and you need really free, fair, clean elections. You need those things, but the media is a big part of it. In the world of health and medicine, there is an exciting new movement to get poisons out of our food supply, keep toxins out of our government. Clean out our environment and make America healthy again. And I think Bobby's going to do a great job, don't you? I think so. I think he's the guy we needed. And in government, it is the task of your generation to replace bureaucracy, graft, and waste with a new system that defends American freedom. These are big tasks before you, but the reward for your hard work will be the United States of America is stronger, prouder, better, and more unified than ever, ever, ever before. It's going to be. As you embark on this great adventure, let me share some of the biggest lessons I've learned from a lifetime spent building dreams and beating the odds. I beat a lot of odds. A lot of odds. A lot of people said, I don't know. But it worked out okay. Where are we? Oh, gee, I'm president. How did that happen? Now, you're going to be in the same position. But some of the, would you like to hear some of the ideas, or should I just skip over that part, huh? That's going to be more interesting than all the other stuff, which was slightly political, right? I'm going to give it to you, though, just as I say it and as I've learned it, the hard way and the easy way. First, if you're here today and think that you're too young to do something great, let me tell you that you are wrong. You're not too young. You can have great success at a very young age. You're all very young. In America, with drive and ambition, young people can do anything. I was 28 when I took my first big gamble to develop a hotel in Midtown Manhattan, the Grand Hyatt, and it worked out incredibly well. But I was very young at the time. I was like a very young person in sort of an old person business. Steve Jobs was 21 when he founded Apple. Walt Disney was 21 when he founded Disney. James Madison, James Monroe, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. They were no older than 25 when they began the journeys that etched their names into the history books for all time. So to everyone here today, don't waste your youth. Go out and fight right from the beginning, from the day you leave this incredible university. Go out and fight tough, fight fair, but go out and fight. You're going to be very successful, because now is the time to work harder than you have ever worked before. Push yourself further than you have ever pushed yourself before. Find your limits and then smash through everything. Go and smash through. You've watched that football team smash through. You're going to do the same thing. You're at the age when you have the time and vitality to do really incredible things. If you just give it your all, you'll look back, and a decade from now, you'll be astounded by what you've achieved. You'll remember this day. You'll remember when the guy named Trump was giving the commencement address, and he said I could do it, and guess what? I did. I think you're going to remember that very fondly. I hope so. Second of all, and very importantly, you have to love what you do. Okay? You have to. I rarely see somebody that's successful that doesn't love what he or she does. That's way you really like. Work isn't work. It's fun. I find it fun. I work all the time, and I find it fun. If I didn't find it fun, I wouldn't be successful, whether it was real estate or in showbiz. I had a lot of different careers, but I loved real estate so much, and I was very successful at real estate because I loved it. I learned a lot from my father because I watched him work. He worked he was a workaholic. He loved to work. He's a good man. He was a tough guy, tough as hell, actually. Now that I think back, I don't know if you could even get away with that nowadays. He was tough, but he was a good man, I'll tell you. And he worked 7 days a week. He worked Saturdays, Sundays, it didn't matter. And I learned by watching him, he loved his life. He loved what he was doing. He had a great long-term marriage, a long, many years. He beat me on that one. No, mine are very successful, but they haven't lasted quite as long. It was close to 70 years. That was a long time. I said, Pop, you beat me on that one. But you know what I learned from him? That he loved life, and all he did was work. I see people that don't work hard and they're miserable. So go out and find. But he loved what he was doing. And you have to find something that you love, and you have to follow your own instincts. Listen to your parents. They're very wise, but you have to follow your instincts and your heart, your soul, and you want to be the very, very best you can be. Treat every day like a home game against Auburn. Fight like hell and enjoy doing it. And your coach can tell you all about that. Third thing is to think big. You know, you're going to do something, you might as well think big, because it's just as tough. You can think small. I know a lot of people, they thought small. They're very smart. I know others that weren't nearly as smart, but they had a better picture of the big picture, because it's just as hard to solve a small problem as a big problem, and it's just as much energy and everything else, except the result is going to be a smaller one. So love what you do, but think big if it's possible. Now, if it's not possible, that's okay too. You do something, you have to do something that you love. You will have all the same headaches and challenges, all the same delays and setbacks, so you might as well do something that's just amazing. America doesn't aim small, Alabama doesn't aim small, and neither do you. So think big when possible, think big. Fourth is work hard. Work hard. Never, ever stop. An example is a great athlete, actually, Gary Player, golfer, great golfer. He wasn't as big as other men. He was actually on the small side. Don't tell him that. Friend of mine, don't tell him that, because he doesn't understand that. But he worked very, very hard. He made up for it. He never stopped. He won 168 golf tournaments. Think of that, 100. I said, Gary, you're winning like every weekend. Do you ever choke or anything? I don't know what choke means. And he made a statement years ago that I read, and I thought it was sort of an incredible statement. He said, it's funny, the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? Think of that. The harder I work, the luckier I get. So you really have to work hard, and you're going to be successful because you have the talent. To get into this school is not easy. To get through it is even more difficult. You have a lot of talent. Fifth is don't lose your momentum. You just want to keep it going, and you have to know if you are losing it, you have to know when you're losing it, so maybe you stop, and maybe it's time to stop. Listen to the feedback, think through your plan very carefully, and keep moving fast. The word momentum is very important. I mean, I'll just tell you a little story about a great real estate developer named William Levitt. He built Levittown. Some of you might live in a Levittown. He was the biggest developer in the whole country in the 1940s and so. And he built these jobs. He started with one house, then 2 houses, then 20 houses, then thousands and thousands of houses. And a company, Gulf and Western, came along and they said, we're going to make you an offer to buy your company. And they offered him a lot of money, more money than he ever thought he could make. And he retired, lost his momentum. He retired. And he led a beautiful life. He had a wife, I must tell you, it was a second wife. It was a trophy wife. What can I say? I don't like telling you everything, but we're all friends, right? Can we talk? We're all friends. He had a trophy wife. And he lived a different life. He moved to the south of France, but he it was a life of tremendous luxury. He had so many millions of dollars. He was given a fortune for the company. And 10 years went by, and then 15 years went by, and he got a call from this big conglomerate, Gulf and Western, and they said, we're not doing well with the purchase, because he used to pick up every nail, every piece of sawdust, every piece of wood, every chip, everything, and he'd sell it. He'd make a couple of bucks. Everything was perfect. They can't do that. You know, these big companies, they don't do that. You see it a lot when an entrepreneur sells to a big company and then he ends up buying the company back for peanuts later on. Happens a lot. But he was the best at what he did. But 15 years went by and he was so excited, and they sold him back his company. And he started, and he was going to tear apart the world because he got bored with a life of luxury. And he started building and building and building. And the markets turned on him. And he went bad, he lost everything, and he went bankrupt, absolutely bankrupt. And it was a sad story to read. It was such an amazing story because he was so rich, but he paid them, and he bought it for the right price, bought it low, but he went wild. But he lost his momentum. He wasn't good at it anymore. And he was at a party on Fifth Avenue, I'll never forget. And it was a party of a very, very powerful man who was having the party in a magnificent apartment overlooking the park. And I walked in, and there were 50 or so people. I recognized most of them, all the biggest business people in the world, actually. Very glamorous. I was doing well. I was young, and I was doing well. And I was invited to parties like that. And I looked in the corner, and there was Mr. William Levitt sitting all by himself on a chair, looking very glum. Nobody was talking to him, because you'll find that when you're not successful, you lose a lot of friends. It's not a good situation. But there was nobody talking to him, but I wanted to talk to him because I was in the real estate business and he was, and most of these people were in different businesses. And I went over and talked to him and I said, "How are you, Mr. Levitt?" He goes, "Donald," he knew who I was, "Not well, I'm not well." I said, "So can you come back?" He said, "No, son, I lost my momentum. I shouldn't have done it. I lost my momentum." And I never forgot that expression. He lost his momentum. If he would have kept going, instead of selling and relaxing and going into a different life, he probably would have been 3 times bigger than he was, but he lost his momentum. And you have to know when it's your time. I mean, there'll be a time when you do lose. You see it with fighters. You see it with a lot of people. They have a great record and they retire. And then 4 years later, they say, "I'm going back. I can beat that guy." And they get knocked to hell. And it's not good. It's not good. So he lost his momentum. You have to know when your momentum time is up. I call it momentum time. But follow your momentum. It's a very important word. You don't hear it from too many, but I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. Number 6, if you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. In other words, you have to take certain risks and do things a little bit differently. Otherwise, if that weren't the case, everybody would be successful. It doesn't work that way. Progress never comes from those satisfied with the failures of a broken system. It comes from those who want to fix the broken system. And you'll make the bigger money, you'll make the more success by acting that way. The other way may be more secure, but if you want to go to the top, you're just never going to do it unless you break the system. Change is never easy, and the closer you get to success, the more ferociously those with a vested interest in the past will resist you. They want to resist. So I just say, trust me on that, because I know you really do. You have to break the system a little bit and follow your own instincts. But if your vision is right, nothing will hold you down. Nothing. You have to have the right vision. If you look at some of these internet people, I know so many of them. Elon is so terrific, but I know now all of them, they all hated me in my first term, and now they're kissing my ass, Do you know? It's true. All of them. It's true. It's amazing. It's nicer this way. Now, in the first, they didn't know what happened because I won an election that, there was never a businessman that won a presidential election. Out of 100%, 8% were generals and 92% were politicians. Not even admirals, not even just generals. There are 8 generals: General Washington, General Grant, generals, General Eisenhower. But 8% were generals and 92% were politicians. And when I ran, everyone said, "Well, he can't win. He's a businessman. That's not going to work." And, but you have a natural instinct for things. I guess I had a natural instinct. I said to somebody, "Was I a better businessman or a politician?" And they said, "Well, there are a lot of guys that made a lot of money, but there's only one guy that became president that was a businessman, so I guess you're a better politician." But I don't think of myself as a politician. I think of myself as a businessman, and I'm proud of that. And I've applied business instinct, and that's why I think you're seeing us doing so well. So number 7 is to trust your instincts, common sense. You can go very far in life with common sense, and I applied that to politics because some of these things, like they had open borders. Let everybody in the whole world flow into our country. That's not common sense. They had transgender for everybody. We ended that, if you noticed, okay? But they had transgender for everybody. They said, I said, this is not working. This is not going to work. As I said before, so simple. Men playing in women's sports. Did you ever see some of the records? Did you ever see some of these boxing matches? We have to protect. These women are great athletes, but we have to protect. If you looked at the Olympics where they had transitioned people going into the boxing, where the women had boxing, and they had a great champion, a female boxer. I mean, after one punch, she walked back to the corner and said, I can't get hit like that. I've never been hit like that before. You look at all the volleyball players that have been hurt so badly with balls that are hit at levels that they've never seen before. But the greatest is like weightlifting. You ever see the weightlifting? Where they have a record that wasn't broken in 18 years? And they have, should I imitate it? You know, my wife gets very upset when I do this. She said, darling, it's not presidential. I said, yeah, but people like it. Should I do it or not? All right, I'm in trouble when I get home, but that's okay. What the hell? I've been in lots of trouble before. But no, you look at the weightlifting where 18 years it stands, and they have this young woman, and her parents are right where you are in the front row, and they're so proud of her, and it's like 209 pounds, and she's going to lift that. The record stood for 18, think of it, 18 years, and they put 1/8 of an ounce here, and 1/8 of an ounce here, little bit, and she's going to do it. Mom, I love you. I'm going to do it for you, Mom. And she goes, and she lifts, and she gets it, and Mom, I'm going to do it, Mom. Can't do it. And then a guy comes along, or a gal, or whatever. A transitioned person comes along.
Whatever.
And he was a failed weightlifter as a man, but he comes along, 206 pounds. They put the little thing on, and he goes, boom, boom. And breaks the record like by 119 pounds. That's not right. The other one is the swimming. You've heard me talk about it. Great swimmers, and you know, they rose to the top. Women swimmers, and they grew up together. And they're Olympic class swimmers, and they're qualifying for some big tournament. And now the race is getting ready to start, the big race, and one young lady, she was going to set the record. She fought all her life to set the record. She has to win it by 1/9 of a second. Think of that, 1/9. I don't like those odds, 1/9 of a second, right? But she looks to the left and she sees all the friends that she grew up with down in California, from all over the country. They're all the best swimmers. Then she looks to the right and she sees the same thing, but there's a person next to her who's a giant. And she looks and she, oh my God, who is that? I don't recognize that person. That was a person that transitioned, and he had the wingspan of Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain, if anybody knows what. And as you know what happened, she was very, very badly injured in that meet because he went by her so fast that she was windburned. They had to take her out. She got serious windburn. He flew back and forth, and she didn't know what, but she got the hell knocked out of her, knowing that I'm only kidding. She wasn't windburned. She was just beaten by a lot. Or the race, did you see the race where they had the best female runners, and they had a guy who was a decent runner, a long-distance race? And he won by 5 hours and 19 seconds. You know, normally you win by like 12 seconds, 2 seconds, a quarter of a second. He won by 5 hours and 19 seconds. It's crazy. And, you know, honestly, it's demeaning for women, very demeaning. These are great athletes. It's very demeaning, and we're going to protect women. We're going to protect women. We're going to protect everybody. So now that I'm in trouble with my wife, I'm going to blame the University of Alabama for asking me to go through with that stuff. But it's pretty descriptive, isn't it, really? It helps when you know that borders are not racist, speech is not violence, America is good, terrorists are bad, men can never become women, police are not criminals, and criminals are not victims. Eighth, everybody should believe. Thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody should believe in the American dream. It's real, it's there, and it's right before you. We're coming back to the American dream. Ninth, think of yourself as a winner. The Power of Positive Thinking. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, from many years ago, wrote a book, The Power of Positive Thinking, and there is a lot to it. The Power of Positive Thinking. Don't consider yourself a victim. Consider yourself a winner. In recent years, too many of our young people have really been taught to think of themselves as victims and blame people and be angry. Don't be angry. But in America, we reject that idea that anyone is born a victim. Our heroes are the ones who take charge of their own destiny, make their own luck, and determine their own fate despite the odds, despite all odds. That's what happens. They're given a little chance in many cases, very little chance of success, and they become the most successful people in the world. Whether you were born rich or poor, black or white, male or female in America, anyone can be a winner. And our whole country will be cheering you on, and I'll be at the front of the line cheering you on, especially because you come from this incredible university. And next is to be an original. The all-time greats were people who had the confidence to be a little different. Teddy Roosevelt, Douglas MacArthur, George Patton, Amelia Earhart, Annie Oakley, Muhammad Ali, and so many others, far too many to name, lived their lives with pride, personality, and flair. God only created one of you. Remember that. God created one of you. You're all different. Some are close, but nobody is the same. You're one of a kind. So don't try to be someone else. Just be yourself. And finally, and most importantly, never, ever give up. Never give up. Never give up. And I've learned anything in life, and it's so true. One of the most important things you can learn, if you just went a little bit longer, if you just held out a little bit longer, you would have been successful. Well, the stories of that are legend. But I've learned that perseverance is everything. So whatever happens, no matter where you are in life, stay optimistic and just keep pushing forward. Just don't stop. Never, ever give up. Victory is right around the corner. I've watched Coach Saban win games that really were virtually over. You've seen it. You've been in the stands. He won a couple of games. I said, Coach, you got lucky as hell. He said, I didn't get lucky. I'm a talented guy. You know, those little touchdowns that come out of nothing. He's amazing. But he's a guy that doesn't quit and doesn't know what the word quit even means. He couldn't define it. He took victory out of the jaws of defeat, and you can do that too at every stage in my career. My enemies, of which there were many and probably are right now, I can think of a couple of people that don't like me too much right now. But they said that they have to do everything they can to keep me from winning, to keep me from making it. And I'm representing you, so I have to make it. I have big shoulders, but these are big shoulders. I have to win for you. I'm not winning for myself. I'm winning for you. Do you remember when they said that Donald Trump will never become president of the United States? Remember Barack Hussein Obama said that? Barack Hussein Obama. Donald Trump will never be president. Like 50 other politicians said that. Where are they now? Oh, let me see. Oh, there they are. Where are they now? But here I am standing before you as the 45th and 47th president. You heard that a lot. But against all odds, I did great in 2016. 2016, how great was it? And then I did much better in 2020. Sorry, the election was rigged. But it was a rigged election. And then in 2024, I made it too big to rig. I said, we got to do this again. We got to do this again. And we made it too big to rig. We made it. That was a great expression. I said, you got to go and vote. Even though I was leading big in the polls, I said, it doesn't matter. You got to make it too big to rig. And they did. They went out and they voted and voted and voted. And we won the whole thing. And it was so good. And it's such a great mandate for our country. That's the important thing. So never let anyone tell you that something is impossible. Ever, ever, ever. In America, the impossible is what we all do best. There is nothing you cannot do if you are willing to fight for it. You got to fight, fight, fight. Oh, I've heard that expression. Funny. That's not here. That's not here on the actually, most of what I've said tonight is not on the teleprompter. That's all right. Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need a teleprompter and can sort of have a little fun? Because I feel that this is home. You know, it's been such a great state for me. I feel it's home. When they said Alabama, I said, that has a good ring to me. But it's something nice about somebody that doesn't need a teleprompter, isn't there? Huh? But for the past 4 years, you've lived in a state known for its fighters, its champions, and its warriors, and you've lived in the great state of Alabama, one of the greatest of them all, from Huntsville to Birmingham, from Montgomery to Mobile, and from right here in Tuscaloosa. To the gleaming shores of the Gulf of America. That's a nice thing. Everybody loves it. I wouldn't say Mexico's thrilled, but you can't have them all. They're not thrilled. You continue the legacy of Alabama legends who blazed the trails, won the games, tilled the fields, forged the steels, built the ships, and gave us the victories that built America and changed the world. The entire world was changed by our victories. This is the state that gave us the might of the Iron City, the power of the Saturn V rocket, and the roaring engines of Talladega. Talladega. We love Talladega. We love Talladega. This is the state that gave us nothing but victory, the state of some of the greatest heroes in history, like Willie Mays, Jesse Owens, Joe Louis, your coach, Nick Saban, Hank Williams, and many others. Some of you will leave here today and travel the world, but you will always know that this state, as this is really sweet home Alabama, right? It's always going to be your place. I sort of feel that way myself, because from a political standpoint, it's just been, we connected from day one. From the first day I set my foot on this beautiful soil, I connected with Alabama. And here in Alabama, we believe that the men and women who built this country are heroes, and that America's destiny is to be the single greatest nation on the face of the earth. And we're bringing it back at a speed that nobody thought was possible. We believe in freedom and family, God and country. We cherish our Constitution. We revere our Bible. And we salute our great American flag. We honor our police, we respect our veterans, and we always stand for our one and only national anthem. We love our national anthem. We believe in strong parents, strong values, strong communities, and very strong borders. And we believe that the United States military is the greatest force for peace and justice the world has ever known. We have a great military. We just had people that didn't know how to lead it. We believe the South is beautiful, Alabama is great, and America is our home. We believe in the SEC and the USA. Graduates of the Alabama class of 2025 standing here before you in this magnificent arena, it is clear to see the next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide. True. That's true. That's true. That's true. I thought that was rather clever. If you look at what's going on, they get their $5 billion a year. That is not going to be so forthcoming. Now, wasn't that a clever one, though? Huh? Who would think of that? Because this is Alabama, and at Alabama, you fight, and you win. That's what you know how to do. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations to this great class of champions. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Right now, the Secret Service is like, oh my God, what is he doing? Get out of here. But he wants to shake everybody's hands. They can't stop him from that. Wow. It's got to be a security nightmare when he goes off like that and just starts shaking people's hands. Amazing. Can you please leave? Can you get out, sir? Sir, get out. Amazing. Absolutely amazing speech. It was funny watching the chat, and some people were saying some things, and it just caught me by surprise, because you have to understand who you are. You have to understand who's in this Fanfare family. You have to realize this. We have been watching every rally. We have been watching every speech. We have attended every single press conference, those of you who watch my channel. So we've heard a lot of this before. Now I want you to basically, I'm shutting things down. I want you to basically put yourself as a college student at the ages of 21, 22, 23. Maybe these kids are that old, maybe 23, probably most of them 21, 22 as graduates. And you've lived a college campus life. And you probably haven't been paying attention all that much to politics. And so even if you've heard him, you may have heard him once, twice, not like 90 times like I have. And so you have to change your focus and realize he's talking to an audience that he knows most likely has never heard these things. And maybe if they're in fraternities or sororities or different places on campus, they got it tuned to CNN or MSNBC or whatever, and they're not hearing his positive messaging. They're not hearing what he's accomplished. So he has to take the opportunity to say that. And I was thinking to myself, and that's why I didn't say anything to a couple of people, and I saw SB like telling some guys, chill. And I'm like, no, it's coming. I didn't know when he was going to pivot, but then he pivoted. And he went through 10 different items that someone should have taught me a long time ago. Someone maybe should have taught you a long time ago. Something that I am now going to impart upon my grandkids. And I mean, it was just a valuable lesson. Just think to yourself, many of you probably have never had the chance to sit in a room day after day after day, not just in shaking a hand, but be involved elbow to elbow with a billionaire, multi-billionaire. I have. my former boss who I worked with and got close to, he's a billionaire, but I used to work for him. And so everybody would come to him looking for donations and different things, and I would just pick his brain. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What if you did this? What if you did that? And so I got very, very close to him. To this day, I could pick up the phone and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And the lessons that my boss had learned over a period of his lifetime, and the lessons that President Trump has learned over his lifetime, actually his lifetimes, because they've tried to kill him a couple times, is something that most people never ever hear. If you had the opportunity to speak to someone who's had that kind of success, the first thing you would ask them is, okay, what do I need to do? And most of what he was going through are in his original book, The Art of the Deal. You see, losers think failure is bad. There is not a single winner out there who doesn't understand that losing got them to where they are. Remember the whole story about, who is it, Thomas Edison or Ben Franklin, which one, who, or Thomas Edison in terms of doing the light bulb, and he failed like, I don't know, 100, 200 times. And what was his response? The amazing quote that he said? Well, I've learned 99 times what doesn't work. You see, every loss is still a learning situation. So when they talk about Trump's failures and his business bankruptcies and stuff like that, I laugh. I'm like, do you know what it takes to go bankrupt? It means you've taken a shot. It means you have done something. You have put your money at risk. You decided, I'm going to do this, and it failed. And only losers look at that in the way that the left does. Losers think that was a bad thing. Losers try to answer. In one of the comments here, I'm like, a failure is merely an exit on the highway to success. You're going to go off that ramp every once in a while if you keep wanting to succeed. Like, oh, that didn't work. Let's go off. Now, every single one of you have driven. Every single one of you, for the most part, have driven a car and gone off an exit ramp. When you've gone off that exit ramp, do you just put the car in park and walk away? Or do you keep driving to your destination? See, that's what President Trump described today. This didn't work. I got lost. Let me look at the GPS because I got to pick up and I got to keep going. What's the word he used? Momentum. I'm not stopping here. I'm not over. This isn't it. I got to keep going. And so you get back on the highway. And you keep going and things are great and everything's fine. And then something happens, flat tire, you throw a transmission, and you got to pull over again. Do you stop or do you keep going? That's what he was trying to illustrate with momentum. And I'm not sure how many of you guys have ever heard the story about Levittown. Go look that up. Go look up that story about Levittown and how it was built and everything that went along with it. It's still there in Long Island, as far as I remember. Go look that up. There's not a single person in business. There's not a single person in athletics. That kind of, drive is what has gotten me through life. There's been all kinds of ups and downs. People have asked me, how do you just keep going? I don't know how to stop. It's just, Robin has said to me, I don't understand you. If somebody beats you down, you just keep going. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to stop. From the time I was a little tykey, well, let me put it, little big tykey, my parents told me you can do anything you want. I took that to heart. And when I played Little League, let me tell you a quick story. When I was 11 or 12, I went to go play midget football. And the coach was like, no, you can't play. Why? He's too big. What do you mean? He's too big. I went home and I cried and cried. I cried. And my mom walked in the room and she said, "What are you crying for?" "Because I can't play football." No. You can't play for them. Get ready for high school. You'll be there in 2 years. All right. I get to high school, go get the physical, and get the physical, and they check my blood pressure. And they're like, "We can't approve him to play." Why? His blood pressure's too high. Okay, what did I do? "Oh, I can't play football." She goes, "Let's go talk to another doctor." Another doctor says, "How do you expect him to get in shape if he can't play football?" And that was the end of the story. That's a true story. She took me to Dr. Fleisch. And Dr. Fleisch said, "Yeah, you want him to get in shape. He's a little flabby as a kid here. Let him play. He's going to have to get in shape. He's going to run. He's going to exercise. What are these people talking about?" I'm like, okay. And sure enough, that's where we went. Never let someone tell you you can't do anything. So I learned that at 11 years old. At 11 years old, I was told, don't let anybody, not even a doctor, don't let anybody stop you. And President Trump said that. Never give up. What was the guy's name? Jimmy Valvano. Never give up. It's not a cliche. It's how you live your life. I have a hard time trying to impart that on people. I used to coach when I got done playing, and I would just tell that same story to kids. You have to build that intestinal fortitude that nothing stops you. I mean, to this day, you could ask Robin in a private conversation, "Robin, is that true?" Like, yeah, nothing stops him. He doesn't care. "Nope, that didn't work. All right, let's just keep going." Like, and I don't mean even take a time to really take a breath. It's like, okay, that didn't work. Let's go. Let's go. And you have to learn that. And the thing with it's at any age. You know the old thing they say, you can't teach old dog new tricks? That's BS. You can't teach an old dog that's not willing to learn new tricks. So you got to twist it. Everything involves a twist. If you think your life sucks, guess what? It's gonna suck. If you think that you can't move on, you won't. It's literally that simple. And so he's sitting there talking in front of 10, 12,000 kids, and I'm sitting there, damn, that's what they all need to understand. You're going to get this diploma that isn't worth the paper it's written on, and after you walk out at the graduation party, you realize Monday, I don't got a job. Well, first of all, don't get one. Because that's the next thing he said. And a lot of those kids probably missed it. You probably missed it. He said, and I don't even have to look down at my notes because I know where he went. He said, think big. He didn't say, oh, get a job that's going to pay you $50,000 a year. Go ahead and work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and then work for 40 years, and then you can retire. Hell no. Some people, it works for them. Not for someone who thinks big. You got to think big. What's the worst thing that can possibly happen to you if you allow yourself to constantly think big? I remember, what was the guy's name who used to do the top 40? Casey Kasem. And when he signed off on his radio show, one of the things he used to say on every single radio show is keep reaching for the stars. Well, the whole thing with that is, if you reach for the stars, but you don't get to the stars and you still get to the moon, then you're still way above the people who never even reach. So if you think you can lasso the moon, go ahead and get yourself a big ass rope and try to lasso the moon. And even if you miss, you're still going to be way above the people who just sit and do nothing. Not do nothing, but you know what I mean. And I don't mean any disrespect for people who have done 40 hours at a job, 40 years. I'm just saying, think big. Think real big. Do you know what I told Robin today? She just shook her head. Because one of the other things he said, and I loved how he said it, he goes, think big. The other thing I've told you guys many times, if this was ever boring, and I didn't want to do it and I wasn't having fun, I'm done. You've heard me say that. That's absolutely true. Maybe I got it from his book. I don't like this anymore. I'm done. It's still paying you. I don't care. I'm done. I don't want to do it. And so you put that with the momentum and you put think big and you pretty much become unstoppable at that point, because you're going to have some exits you get off, but you're going to keep moving forward because your momentum has to take you in that direction. And so when I told Robin today, she's like, she started shaking her head. I'm like, I got an idea. And of course, what are you thinking about now? Well, I'm thinking, after seeing some of these shows that have gone 5 and 6 hours, what if I became like Barry NNN and go 24 hours a day? I'm not saying me broadcast, but what if I brought in hosts and had different kind of shows and we were on the air for, I don't know, start 10, 12 hours a day? And she just shook her head. She's like, oh God, here you go again. Yeah, because I'm thinking big. I'm thinking out here. And what's the worst that could happen? I'm on 4 hours a day or 4 shows a day on 2 different networks, on Rumble and X and YouTube. What's the worst that can happen? So here I am sitting back going, I'm looking to chart this out. How do I move into myself, but bringing in 2 or 3 different hosts and having a show, a network per se, of shows all day long? Because I got the momentum. I'm having fun. I'm not going to let anybody stop me. I like disruption, because that's the next thing he said. Be a disruptor. Do something other people aren't doing. Well, other than, let's see, Fox, CNN, the big networks, how many YouTubers out there are doing a network? I'm not saying being a part of a network, are building their own network. I don't even see that business model being shown. And I'm like, hey, maybe Alex Jones. Maybe Alex Jones is probably the only person that's doing his own network. Maybe Steve Bannon. He's on a lot. But these are the type of things I think of. And maybe I just gave away an idea. I don't care, because you're not going to stop me. My momentum will not allow you to inhibit where I want to go. And even if it falls flat on my face, then you know what? I'm still ahead of the game. And what else did he say? Don't ever basically snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. If something is working and it's winning and it's doing what you need it to do, don't do something where you're going to snatch defeat out of it. You just have to know based upon your experience. So he was talking to 22-year-old kids, and this old man was listening intently and taking notes. How many of you took notes? How many of you said, wait a second, what? Hold on, Mr. President, what'd you just say? Oh, don't have fun, work, yeah. Think big. How many of you took notes? See, that's the first thing. When you hear messaging that can improve your life, you gotta take notes. Because now you sit here and you look at your notes and say, okay, so he said this at this. What do I need to do in these different spots? So while he was talking to 20-something college graduates, or soon-to-be college graduates, my old behind was still taking notes. There's not a single day that I wake up that I don't say to myself, learn something else. You gotta keep trying to learn. You gotta keep trying to succeed. Otherwise, you end up like Mr. Levitt. Now understand, when he was talking about Mr. Levitt, what he said. You see, when he spoke to Mr. Levitt at that party, and he told you he walked in, and Mr. Levitt said, I wasn't doing well, I messed up. He spoke in reverence. He spoke out of respect. He called him Mr. Levitt. He didn't say, Ken, hey, Fred, how you doing? Mr. Levitt. This man is 78 years old, and he's speaking of a man who's now deceased, and he's still calling him Mr. Levitt. Why? Because he imparted knowledge onto him. Don't ever lose your momentum, kid. Okay, I got you. Don't ever let them pull. Don't ever look to pull a loss, failure, out of the jaws of victory. Don't do that. You're winning. Keep winning. So, yeah, I can learn. So anyway, you guys, I couldn't help myself. You can see I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I can't imagine how these kids, 22-year-old, feel. These kids must be ready to run through a wall. It's 9:45. I'm like, forget Jesse Waters and Doge. I'll cover that tomorrow. You know why? I got to go run and write some ideas down from what I just heard. I just took a refresher course. From a successful businessman, from stuff I knew, but some stuff I wasn't applying. That's how I take it. You may be different, but then again, that's just how we are. So, anyway, oh my gosh, it was amazing. Yeah, he still respects Mr. Levitt. He called him that. Like, you heard when he talks to people. Hey, it's Marco. Hey, Pete Hegseth is great. Hey, Pam is... How many people does he say Mr. and show that deference to? Mr. So-and-so. No, everybody else is, hey, Steve. Hey, so-and-so. Yeah, I talked to Jim today. I talked to Tim Cook. I talked to Massa. Massa's putting 200, 300 billion into... He didn't say Mr. Massa. You reserve that respect for certain people. Yeah, always be respectful and knowledgeable. So I'll do the Jesse Waters thing with Doge. It ain't going anywhere. Excuse me. It's like this berry of good mythical morning can go from YouTube to having your own channel on all platforms. You can too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I'm not just talking about one show. See, I'm swinging for it. That was an awesome speech. If you listen, yeah, I'm going to listen to the rebroadcast. I really need this speech. Listen. At one point, I put in a comment, and I just said, listen. Because I was getting to the point where I'm like, oh, man, he's doing it. He's doing it just like a coach. He's doing it. He's bringing it. And then when he started going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, every single one of you who's looking to aspire should have been writing down those points. That was worth more than probably the college degrees that they're getting. Let's see here. Audio. What's wrong? My audio's fine. Not sure what you mean. What happened with the house you found? We found a house, and as of right now, we have JJ doing what's called title work, where you start doing all the different things to find out what's happened with it. Looks like a fantastic deal, so we are going to put an offer in on it. Let's see here. Megan Kelly is starting one. Yeah. I'll run your merch shop. There's a Trump motivational speech on YouTube. Think big and never give up. Exactly. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to go run now. I'll cover the Doge stuff tomorrow. And then tomorrow, one show tomorrow early. Well, hopefully it's not too early. Hopefully... Let's see if Caroline Levitt does it again and has another 8:30 show. Maybe not, because she's probably going to Mar-a-Lago with President Trump. And then you know what's going to happen. Just so you know, it's 9:49 now. He's going to go have dinner, hang out, whatever. Then he's going to fly to Mar-a-Lago. And he's going to have a press conference on the plane. He does it all the time. So we'll cover that as well. So... that's where I am. Let me go ahead and get ready to look at some of these super chats, but I encourage you to watch this over again. Okay, I will be right back. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day, I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so, become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group, by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Okay, so Twitter's been kind of wonky. Somebody has said it's hard to get into the community. I don't know. I've sent in an email into support, so we shall see what they work on. All right, so Trumpinator. Vance can make Trump VP in 28, then Vance can step down making Trump president again. That would be crazy. They'll probably try to make a rule. CR, thank you. Good, he said a republic. CR, my niece is there at college. Wow, at Bama. Congratulations. Rhinoceros, I want to be your sledgehammer. God bless our commander-in-chief. That's very, very cool. Volvo Cars, I saw the light. Volvo Cars owned by China has a plant in Charleston. What could happen? That's a good question. Tilly, thank you, Barry, and your lovely wife and family for what you do for the Fanfare family. Bless you all. Thank you, Tilly, and thank you for being here. Charito Rivera, thank you much for your hard work keeping the Fanfare Club updated. Always enjoy watching your podcast. Thank you very much. Nathan Hardcastle, I'm going to take Trump's 7 points tonight and apply it to my life, or see where I am lacking so I can succeed or keep winning in my personal life. Yes. Yes. I don't know if it was 7 or was it 10. I don't know which one, how many it was. I'm going to clip that for sure. Tilly, the day I don't have to pay $2, $5, $10 to feel acknowledged in this chat, I will be extremely happy. Tilly, never feel that you aren't being acknowledged. In fact, I think I posted a couple of your responses. So, no, I feel the only way I'm heard is by money. No, that's not true. When I'm talking or something like that, I can only click certain things at a time, and it's based on what's in front of me. It's sheer timing. Some people seem like they do more. Maybe they have recognized, well, okay, when Barry turns, that usually means he's looking at the chat. Buddy Sanders, thanks again for your work. Thank you. Myrna Nacino, thank you, Barry. Nathan Hardcastle, I've been surrounded by people who always criticize or degrade ideas and dreams, family, friends, and strangers. I'm going to stop listening to this negativity and pursue my goals. Exactly. One thing I always said and took away, I don't know even who told me, is, but don't listen to people who have never done it. Hey, I want to try this. Oh, no, that would do it. Have you done it before? No. Then why the hell am I getting advice from you? Just saying. Johnny Parker, awesome show, Barry. I believe Trump nailed it. Thank you. Neo, Barry, thank you for sharing it. Worth to watch, and we'll rewatch. Trump's words are relevant to working life. They were gold. And wanted to say something. Gasworks. Barry, you had me rolling with the first 25 minutes of yesterday's video. What are your thoughts on listing episode numbers? Thanks for the laugh. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you very much, Gasworks. And that's a good idea. The only reason I hadn't put episode numbers in our shows, which I don't even know how I would do it at this point, was because people upstairs don't like to rank videos, and so people could see them. So maybe I can start. Yeah, I can probably start. But thank you nonetheless. Thank you very, very much. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So that being said, I'm gonna go chill, talk to the wife, walk the dog, wake the dog up first. He's still sitting there. He's sleeping. See you guys tomorrow. Hopefully it's not real early, but we shall see.